few shooting stars. Quickly thereafter, you see like 10,000 shooting stars per every square centimeter, several tens of thousands per every square inch. So the entire sky, instead of just being little streaks of shooting stars, would flash up into a rosy red glow, which would look and feel like someone had shoved you into a self-cleaning oven being cleaned.
The falling debris would burn up in the upper atmosphere, creating a layer of fire that would blanket the planet. 60 miles below the surface of the Earth would spontaneously ignite into a worldwide firestorm. If there were any survivors, they would emerge to find the planet pitch black, enveloped by a thick layer of ash in the atmosphere.
After several months, it started to become possible to see again. So you'd go outside and, you know, what you would see is an environment totally denuded of all vegetation and everything flammable. It looked like a very alien, desert-like environment.
The sulfuric ash from the firestorm would drop the ocean's pH level to that of battery acid, turning most of the Earth into an uninhabitable wasteland. After thousands of years, the Earth would return to a state where it could once again support life as we know it. And while there are some creatures in existence today that may survive to see this new world, the most powerful, humans, would have likely vanished.
It is sobering to think that nature can turn on us at any time, but in fact, we are our own worst enemy. So now we turn to the final three on our countdown, the kinds of destruction we are wreaking upon ourselves. First, we grew up fearing that nuclear war between the superpowers would annihilate us all. Today, that threat is far from eliminated.
As J. Robert Oppenheimer, father of the atomic bomb, watched his creation explode over the New Mexico desert, he understood that in that one instant, man's place in the universe had changed.
I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. I suppose we all thought that, one way or another.
They understood what they were doing. They were unleashing a power unlike any humankind had ever had. We now had the ability not just to kill others, but to kill all other human beings.
Man now possessed a power that until then had only been found in the heart of a star.
We were literally taking a piece of the sun and duplicating it on Earth. The power that gives energy to all of the universe, we now had understood and replicated. It's an amazing achievement, but it carried with it tremendous danger, and that is the paradox. Can we control what we've created?
From the start, it was clear that we could not. In the 1950s, the Soviets and the United States built over 20,000 nuclear weapons. By the 1960s, the threat envisioned by Oppenheimer had become a reality.
Every man, woman, and child lives under a nuclear sword of Damocles, hanging by the slenderest of threads, capable of being cut at any moment by accident or miscalculation.
Today, it is the nuclear ambitions of terrorist groups and the intentions of India, Pakistan, Iran, and North Korea that seem to have the world's attention. Though experts say that nuclear proliferation is a huge danger, it is not, they say, the greatest threat to civilization.
Those are not the countries that I would worry about. Those are not the systems I would worry about. They're not the weapons I would worry about. I think the elephant in the room is still the fact that Russia and the U.S. have not stood down from their Cold War launch readiness.
The Russians and the U.S. still have thousands of weapons, many of them ready to launch within 15 minutes or less.
The number of weapons we have is the equivalent of 80,000 Hiroshima bombs. The bomb on Hiroshima killed 100,000 people, and we've got 80,000 of those. We could kill 8 billion people. There are only 6 billion on the planet.
In a world where Russia and the U.S. are at peace, what could set off a nuclear exchange?
There's several ways a nuclear war could start within the next decade or so. The most likely is by accident. A side misinterprets the actions of the other, thinks that they've launched a nuclear attack, and they respond in kind.
The U.S., like Russia, does not have a functioning missile defense system. So if U.S. radar picked up an incoming rocket, we would have only 15 minutes to decide how to respond. The government has run simulations about what might happen under these circumstances.
We've run a lot of exercises on what happens if U.S. forces see an incoming missile, but we've never actually experienced that. In all likelihood, it would go as drilled. The incoming missile would be seen, the president would be notified, and would order a retaliatory strike.
But once they see our missiles going over to strike them, they're likely to send theirs over towards us.
Experts say an exchange of just 20 missiles has the potential to transform the planet.
You set off a large number of nuclear explosions, you were going to put in the atmosphere enough debris to block off the sun's light. This would last for years.
This so-called nuclear winter would feel very much like the aftermath of a supervolcanic eruption or a massive asteroid impact. There is, of course, a crucial difference. This apocalypse is of our own making.
That nuclear sword of Damocles that Kennedy spoke so eloquently about still hangs over our head.
There is a possibility that the human race could go extinct, but it is not inevitable. Even after the end of the Cold War, there are still enough nuclear weapons stockpiled to kill us all several times over. Up to now, aggression has been an attribute with definite survival advantages. Now, however, it may destroy us all, by nuclear or biological war, if we cannot control our instinct by our reason.
The Old Testament in the Bible says that when God wanted to show the Egyptians who was boss, he visited 10 plagues upon the land. Awful things like locusts, pestilence, and swarms of frogs and flies. As horrific as those sound, they're nothing next to number 2 on our countdown, the modern-day plagues that may destroy us. And they're not sent from above.
As we go about our daily lives, few people realize that all around us are invisible creatures, ancient species that have the potential to bring our civilization to its knees.
What we've not tamed and never will be able to tame, and ought not even try to tame, is the microscopic world of the microbes.
Most are harmless, but some can kill us in hours. And now with modern technology, mankind has the power to make them deadlier than ever.
You know, it's just a matter of time until you have an enormous disaster, whether it's man-made or Mother Nature.
The World Health Organization predicts millions could die.
11 flu outbreaks in birds just in the last month.
If left unchallenged, this virus could become the first pandemic of the 21st century.
This year, the H5N1 strain of avian flu has been causing a worldwide panic. But why are health officials so frightened? For the answer, experts say you only have to look back 90 years.
In 1918, we had one of the greatest pandemics ever to hit Homo sapiens. It wiped out perhaps 40 million people. More than that died from World War I.
The flu hit some cities so hard the dead bodies overflowed from the morgues. Caskets were lined up in the streets.
We had little caskets for the little babies that stretched for 4 and 5 blocks.
This global tragedy was caused by a flu that killed less than 3% of the people who caught it. Experts say the current avian flu could be many times more lethal, and that it has the potential to be the deadliest pandemic mankind has ever seen. And even if we dodge this bullet, another deadly disease will surely emerge. In fact, experts say we are overdue.
Pandemics are like earthquakes, hurricanes, and tsunamis. They occur. There have been 10 of them in the last 300 years. We know we're going to have more in the future.
One of which just might be capable of being a true, massive, catastrophic pandemic that circulates the world and takes out very considerable percentage of the global population.
But as lethal as Mother Nature can be, today man can be much more deadly.
See, Mother Nature can be terribly harsh, and H5N1, pandemic flu, could just be extraordinarily devastating to our society. However, from my military background, I would probably still say the one that scares me the most is man-made, because it's a thinking enemy.
We have used germs as weapons for centuries. In the 1300s, Mongol armies catapulted plague-infected corpses over the enemy's city walls. In the 1700s, the British gave smallpox-infected blankets to Native American tribes. And then, by the Cold War, we were able to take germs to a whole new level.
They wanted agents which would kill more people, which would kill people easier, which would have severe symptoms, and so on.
Sergei Popov headed genetic engineering projects in the former Soviet Union's bioweapons program. He says it is possible to take smallpox, one of the greatest natural killers, and engineer it to be the ultimate weapon.
A typical smallpox kills 30% of infected people. The re-engineered smallpox would differ from this. I believe it would kill 100% of people.
The revolution in biotechnology has made germ engineering cheaper and easier than ever. There are now tens of thousands of people with the expertise needed to build a new virus, and the number grows by the thousands each year. What's more, the instructions and the formulas are available on the internet.
We lived for many decades under the threat of nuclear annihilation. Fortunately, there were a very limited number of people who had their finger on the button. The question then becomes, what happens when you give that button to everyone on the planet? I think it's probably fair to say that the button will get pressed.
You might ask, who would want to do such a thing? But history teaches us there are always a few people who, if they had the ability, might want to try.
Some people have said, thank God Ted Kaczynski was a mathematician and not a biologist.
In most situations, it's not about money, it's not about revenge, but it's about belief.
What would happen if someone took a deadly disease like Ebola, made it as contagious as the common cold, and then released it? Find out when we return. Somewhere out there in a secret lab, a highly trained individual bent on destruction could be plotting mass murder on a global scale.
Let's say you're a very sophisticated genetic engineer who, for whatever reason, thinks that it's morally justifiable, or that even that there's a mandate for you to create a superbug, and you decide you want something that has the hemorrhagic capacity of Ebola to make people bleed out, is as infectious to human beings as a common cold, and you set out with that as your mission, and you create such an organism.
If a contagious germ like this could be made, then how would you spread it? No crop dusters or tainted food would be needed. It could start with just one infected person and be set loose, simply with a sneeze.
The best way to move a disease is probably an infected person incubating something. You don't have to worry about breaking the vial.
They would select places where a lot of people move through. Subway systems, airports,
Whether it was a deadly flu or a man-made killer germ, once it gets out in today's world, it would be practically impossible to stop. The infection would start in a single place,